Hello everyone, welcome back to another One Piece card game video. My name is That Manga Nerd, and today we're going to be going over the card list for the Extra Booster Memorial Collection. We will look at each color, look at a few important cards from each color set, and then also look over the leaders. So with that, we'll go ahead and hop over here to the product page on the website. Comes out May 3rd, Chopper themed, cotton candy, all that stuff. It is a half set, so there is only 61 card types or 61 cards total in the set. There's 3 new leaders, which we'll look at more in depth when we actually get to the card review part of the video. But it's Odin, Hannibal, and Kyros. Red, green, blue, purple, and black and yellow. So all color combinations we've seen before, but hopefully with more interesting effects. Then we got here 3 SRs. Chopper, Brook, and Cavendish, which the Cavendish is really good. I think the Brook is too, and the Chopper is kind of on the lower end of importance, I feel. So like I said, there is only 61 card types in the set, so it's essentially a half set, but you still get 12 cards per pack, and there is 24 packs per box. So with there only being 61 total, there's going to be a lot of cards, lower end cards that are just going to be out there. Like, the price of this set is going to be cheap. There's almost kind of no incentive to buy sealed product for this, because you can do whatever you want, but the singles market for this is going to be really low, depending on what the pull rates are. But there is 3 leaders, as we saw, 28 commons, 21 rares, and 8 SRs, and 1 secret rare. So, 8 SRs in a set. So if you get a box, you're going to get 1 of every single SR in the set. So if everyone opens a box, they all get an SR. There's going to be a lot of SRs out there, a lot of rares. And with there being no uncommons, the pack ratios are going to be a little interesting to see what it is. I feel like here in about a week or so, we will start seeing people getting their stuff early, like it always happens. But it might just be 10 common cards, and then 2 rares, or like 9 common cards, a leader, 2 rares, or 10 common cards, 1 rare, and 1 SR, and then some variation of that. But no uncommons. It's kind of weird, but this set's going to be on the cheaper side, I would hope, besides the alt arts, obviously. So moving on to the actual card review section of the video, here are all of the red cards that are included in the set. We're going to look at a couple of the cards that I think are, important for the leaders, and then also will have life beyond the set, other than just, cards that will be dead after, set 7 comes out. So first we have Kazuki Odin, the alt art leader here. He is a 5,000 4-life red-green slasher attribute leader. He has a permanent effect, I guess you could call it. All of your Land of Wano type character cards without a counter have a 1,000 counter according to the rules. This feels like a pretty strong effect, going off of, you'll get into situations where you'll have character cards in hand. You're not able to play them, like, say if it's a big body, a 10 cost character or something like that. If it has a Land of Wano typing, then it's a 1k counter in your hand. It kind of feels like the Ace effect, where Ace can turn, events into 1k counter. This guy just turns every card that's a character at least have a 1k counter, which is pretty strong, I think. Then his when attacking effect is Dawn times 1 when attacking. If you have a Land of Wano type character with a cost of 5 or more, this leader gains 1,000 power until the start of your next turn. So you would equip 1 Dawn, he becomes 6k. You attack. When the attack happens, the board state check happens. If you have a 5 cost, he then gains 1,000. So then the swing turns into a 7k swing. And then when you pass turn, he stays at 6k. So it's like he has the 1 Dawn equipped on both turns. There is a way to get a 5 cost character out on turn 2 if you go second, which we will get to in the next color set, I believe. And 6k leader base after turn 2, essentially. So the first character card we have is Izo. Works well with the Odin leader effect that we just looked at. So 5 cost, 7k power range. Land of Wano, Whitebeard Pirates. Has an on play, give up to 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or one of your characters. So on the turn you play him, you're able to attach 1 Dawn to your lead, then swing with your leader, and then your leader is 6k, at least 6k every single turn after. Basically, if you're going to run Odin, you're going to have 4 of Ezo in your deck. Then, on opponent's attack, once per turn, you may trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader has Land of Wano or Whitebeard Pirates type, give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 2,000 power during this turn. You can trash any card in your hand, and it turns it into a 2k counter, basically. So, this works well in the Land of Wano. It also works well in a Whitebeard deck, just because it's the Whitebeard Pirates. So, this is just a really good card, turning a dead card into a 2k counter. And then also, if the target of the cost reduction is a double attack character, then it reduces it by 2k for the turn, so it could potentially stop 2 swings, or prevent 2 swings for the turn, which is, I think this is a great card. And it has a 1k counter in an Odin deck. Great card. The next one we're going to look at is Kid and Killer. This is the alt art. It is a 4/5 slasher special, a split attribute typing. Has rush built in, and then has a when attacking effect. If your opponent has 2 or less life cards, this character gains 2,000 power during this turn. So basically, he's a 7k, he's a 4/7. It is one thing to note that the when attacking does not state once per turn, so if you have a way to restand him, then you could make him a 4/9. You do not keep the boost moving on to your opponent's next turn, but it is still strong to get attacks off. You play this in a red-green law, pretty much. Just, play it down, get a swing off, pick it back up, then do the same thing next turn. Obviously, we have to look at the poster boy of the set, Tony Chopper. He is a 3/4 strike attribute, 1k counter, blocker, Dawn ×2, when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. Now, it's not great, I think. You're paying 3 for a blocker, which is a 4k, which there are cheaper blockers. I mean, there is cheaper Tony Chopper blockers, but you gain the versatility of, say, if you need to remove a body on the field, or they have a big blocker and you need to lower the blocker. So if they block with it, it dies. This guy gives you that versatility. He also does get the manga of the set, so it looks really good. I do feel like, I think he might be, I want to say he's going to be cheap, a cheap manga, like the Soga King is, or Usopp is, I guess. But it's Tony Chopper. This manga is going to be expensive just because it's Chopper. The last character card I think we should look at is Yamato, 5/5 striker attribute, 2k counter. Has an effect, activate main once per turn, give up to 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or one of your characters. So this is also a really good target for the Odin 5-drop character, because you play him down for 5, activate the main, put 1 on the lead, swing with lead, 7k swing, and then 6k defending. So 2 really good targets. This one is a 2k, so it is probably, you want to play the Ezo over the Yamato, but it being an activate main ability means you can do it every single turn, and it's a rested one, so you can play it for something else, activate it, get 2 uses out of the 1 Dawn. Both good cards, both good targets. It's just a 2k, so maybe don't play it. Then we're going to look at both of the events. There's 2 for the red set. This one is just shut up and come with us. It's a 1-drop counter event. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Play up to 1 animal type character card with a cost of 3 or less. Then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So I want to look at this one because there's a Chopper leader that's coming out that I think this would be, you play 3 to 4 of this in that deck, because that deck is going to consist of a lot of animals. So you're paying 1 for a counter to play out a 3-cost character. So you're cheating out a 3-cost for 2 less, which I think is just a real good effect. And then if your deck has all animals, you can play out the blockers. You can play out the blocker Chopper that we just looked at. There's a lot of different options that could come with this set, or with the typing, not the set. Then the next event is There's No Way You Could Defeat Me. It is a 3-cost counter event as well. It is KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 6,000 base power or less, and trigger K up to one of your opponent's characters with 5,000 base power or less. So this is a really good effect, because it does not look at, like, if the card gains power for the turn, then, if they put 1 Dawn on the character, or 2 Dawn, and it makes it like a 6, 7K, 8K, it doesn't matter if the card's printed power, the what's printed on the card, if that is 6,000 or less, you can KO with this effect. Obviously, if has some effect that prevents it from being KO'd, that's a whole different story. But this is looking at base power, which is pretty strong, I think. Moving on to the green, there isn't a lot here. There's really only 3 cards that we're going to look at that, there's nothing else here. It's less than the red. So we've already looked at the Odin leader. First, we're going to look at Cavendish, which we saw on the product page. It is a 5/6 slasher 1K counter on play and when attacking. If your leader has the supernova type and you have no other Cavendish characters, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So basically, you play this in red green law and you always get to use your leader effect. Essentially, you just get two active Dawn. You swing with them, restand 2, use shambles, pick him up, play something else out, and then the following turn, play him out, restand 2, shambles, some reoccurring effect like that. It being a 5/6, really strong on play when attacking. You can do them both. I think this is a really good card, but I don't like the alt art. I like the regular version way more than the alt art. Then we have Kozuki Hiyori. 4/0 wisdom type 1K counter. Activate main. You may trash this character. Play up to 1 Land of Wano type character card with a cost of 5 or less other than this card from your hand, then draw 1 card. So essentially you can pay 4 to play out a 5 and then get a card draw. You don't want to think of it as you're trashing 2 characters. Playing this out, then you're playing a 5, throwing this away, and drawing a card. So it replaces itself. So you're really only, you're getting rid of 1 card. You're not trashing a card from hand, or kind of technically am trashing this from hand. But you play it out, play out a 5, this dies, you get a card. Really strong effect. It makes it to where you can do your Odin effect on turn 2, like I had said when we were talking about the leader, and then be a 6K every single turn after you play this card. And then really the last card we're looking at for green is Sanji. 4/5 striker attribute, 2K counter. Dawn times 1, your turn. This character gains 1,000 power for every 3 of your rested Dawn cards. Really strong effect, especially when you get to your 10 Dawn turn, where you're going to have a lot of Dawn rested. Bump up to 9K, and then big swings. It's also a film 2K that you can put in your Uda deck. Green doesn't really have a lot going on for this set. You could argue that other cards are good, but those are really the only ones I think we should look at. Moving on to blue, we also don't have a lot of cards here. First is Hannibal, 5,000 power, slasher attribute leader, 4 life, blue-purple. End of your turn, you may return 1 of your input down characters with a cost of 2 or more to the owner's hand, then add up to 1, or not then, but you add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So if you do this right, you can always have 1 active Dawn at the end of your turn every single turn. Well, maybe not every single turn, but almost every single turn. There are a couple good targets. It does have to be impel down, but you're given the blue and purple attribute, which both of those color types have impel down cards in them. So if you're gonna have to do a lot of specific things at specific times, but this has the potential to be a really good deck, and just the fact that it is finally combining all the blue impel down and all the purple impel down, there's a way to synergize both those color sets. Next we have Inazuma, 6/7 slasher type, 1K counter. End of your turn, if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, draw 2 cards. This is a really good card for the Ivankov leader. So you play this out for 6, which I believe this can also be played off of the 7-drop Ivankov from set 2, I think it is. So end of your turn, you have 0 cards in hand. You activate Leader Ivankov effect, where you draw 2 cards because you have none in hand. Then you activate this Inazuma effect. Then you draw 2 more cards, and now you're at 4. Really strong effect. Really lets you dig for your target cards. Blue having the ability to rearrange the top 5 means you can kind of pick out and see what you're going to draw and then base that off of, effects that you play or counter events that play stuff out. Next, we're going to look at Edward Weevil, a 4/6 slasher attribute. On play, draw 1 card. There doesn't seem to be much here, but the main thing I'm looking at is it is the 7 Warlords of the Sea type, which means you can play this off of the Mono Blue Doflamingo leader from set 1. So you're cheating out a 4/6 that then draws you a card and gets you hand advantage. Then the last character card we'll look at for blue is Mr. 1 or Dawes Bones, a 5/6 slasher attribute character with 1k counter. If your leader type includes Baroque Works, this character gains 1000 power for every 2 events in your trash. Then on play, draw 2 trash 1 from your hand. So this works really well with blue-purple Croc from the first set. A lot of cards from the first, or a lot of leaders from the first couple sets are kind of getting some more archetypes or more builds, which is pretty cool. Now, I don't know if you ever played blue-purple Croc, but there's going to be a lot of events in your trash just because that build does a lot of stuff, counter events, whatever, but doesn't matter. But you're going to have a good couple events in your trash. This guy takes advantage of it, and it does not state if it's your turn or opponent's turn. It just basically means that no matter when, if there's 4 events in your trash, then you have your 8k. So the last card for blue would be this event. It is a 1-cost counter event, Gum Gum Champion Rifle. If your leader has Impel Down typing, so it can be used with the new Hannibal, or it can be used with the Ivankov from set 2. Up to one of your leaders or characters gains 2000 power during this battle, then your opponent returns one of their active characters to the owner's hand. The reason that second line is the reason I decided to look at this. It does not look at cost of the card, does not look at power of the card. If your opponent only has 1 active character left on their field and they're swinging for game, you play this, you get the plus 2k, that might prevent another attack or, get you out of the first swing. And then if their last swing is a 10-cost character that they know and that you can't counter out of, playing this bounces it back to their hand, saves you for the next turn, and gives you a chance to win. Moving on to the purple cards, we've already looked at the blue-purple leader, so we're not going to look at Hannibal again. First card is Khalifa. She is a 5/5 Wisdom attribute, 1k counter. On play, Dawn -1. If your leader has the Water 7 type, add up to 2 character cards with a cost of 4 or less from your trash to your hand. This is built for Iceberg from set 3, and this effect it's crazy good. You're minusing 1 Dawn to pick back up 2 characters from the trash. Yes, they do have to be 4 or less, but there are it doesn't state that you can't pick her up, so there is a 4-cost version of her that's a 2k that you could have either played out and it got killed, or you countered out with, or whatever the case is, and get those cards back. So you're reusing cards that you already used, and it gives you the possibility of getting hand advantage and also just counter power. Next one we're going to look at is Bluno, which also goes with Water 7 Iceberg. 4/5 striker attribute, 1k counter. On play, Dawn -1. If your leader has the Water 7 type, play up to 1 Water 7 type character card with a cost of 5 other than Bluno from your trash or hand. Hand or trash. This last part right here. Play up to 1 5-cost character from the trash. Really great effect there, because you can target a card that already had play, bring it back, and then use that effect. So what would be a crazy play is you play this for 4, -1 Dawn, then you get the Khalifa back from trash, her on play activates, minusing another 1, so -2, and then you get 2 bodies back from trash, and you get a 5k on the board for 2 Dawn, or 6 Dawn, but 2 characters back, 3 characters back technically, and 1 on the field, and you have 2 5ks. That right there is a really good combo, but if you add in all the other Galley Company cards that Iceberg already has, that just makes this one way better. Next card we're going to look at is Miss Wednesday. 3/4 slasher attribute, 1k counter, has a blocker as the main effect, and then on your opponent's attack, once per turn, Dawn -1. If your leader type includes Baroque Works, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So if you play Purple Yellow Crocodile, you put this in there, because then when your opponent attacks, if this isn't the target or this isn't killed in the process of the attack, then you can get 2 Dawn back as active off of the leader ability and also this Miss Wednesday ability, and then you could still block with it or then counter out with something if they're swinging at some other body. Then the last character card we're going to look at is the secret for the set. It is Mr. 2 Bon Clay. This is the alt art where he turns into Nami. 4 cost, 1000 power, special typing, 1k counter. On play, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active, so that alone is a really good effect. Then has a when attacking, select up to one of your opponent's characters. This character's base power becomes the same as the selected character's power during this turn. So if you had played this out, the following turn your opponent played out a 10 cost character. This stays on the board. You need to go for game next turn. You swing with this with at lead, or you put 10 Dawn on this, making it 11k. You swinging at leader, copy that 10 cost character that they just played. This copies the power, say if it's a 10 cost 12k, becomes a 12k on top of that 10 Dawn you already put on there, 22k at lead. Then we have a 1-drop counter event, Oh Come My Way. Dawn -1, if your leader type includes Baroque Works, select up to one of your characters. Change the target attack to the selected character. Then has a trigger effect, Dawn -1, draw 2 cards. Not bad for a trigger. And then also the effect of it to where you redirect an attack. So if they're going for game, you just play this out for 1, reduce minus the Dawn that you already used to pay for this event, and then change the target to someone else and live another turn. Moving on to the black cards, which this one does have the most cards out of the set, it seems. First is the leader Kyros. This is the alt art. It is a 4-life leader, 5000 power, slasher attribute. Has an effect, activate main. You may trash 1 card for the top, or its main. Its effect is activate main once per turn. You may turn 1 card from the top of your life cards face up, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. So this one's kind of moving more in the line of the face-up life cards that the ST13, Three Brothers I think is the name, has introduced. Turning cards face up, keeping cards face up. There's probably some cards that can come out that like turn face cards down, stuff like that. So first we have Kyros. This is the alt art for him. It is a 5000 power slasher attribute, 4 life, black yellow leader. His effect is activate main once per turn. You may turn 1 card from the top of your life cards face up, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. So this card is going with the turning cards face up in life situation that the ST13 had introduced, moving in that direction. It does have the you may turn 1 card from the top of your life cards face up in bold and a semicolon. So if you use this effect on the first turn, whatever, you flip the card face up. The next turn, if you don't have a way to turn the top life card face down, then you cannot use this effect again, so that is just something to note. First character card we're going to look at is Spandine, a 3/2 wisdom type 1k counter. On play, you may place 3 cards with type including CP from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. Then you play up to 1 character card with a type including CP and a cost of 4 or less other than Spandine from your trash rested. So this is really good for the set 7 mono black Lucci that's coming out, which is a really strong, better version mono black Lucci than the set 3 Lucci that came out. This will be a good target because you build trash with, just the black in general, build trash, play this out, you bottom deck 3 cards, and then play out a 4. So for 3 Dawn, you're playing a 3/2 technically, and then getting a 4-cost character out. It is rested, but you're still getting a 4-cost character out for 3. Next we have Brook. This is the Alt-Art. A 3/4 slasher attribute 1k counter. On play and when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost during this turn, then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. This does kind of go in line with what I said about the Kyros leader, where you have to reduce something down to 0. It is kind of hard, but you could make it work. This isn't that bad of a card. It's a 3/4. There'll probably be a way to cheat it out. I know, obviously, Gecko Moria, but there's got to be other ways around that. Then we're going to look at Laboon. This is the Alt-Art form. A 4-drop 5k striker attribute 1k counter. Activate main. You may rest this character. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during this turn. So you are able to play him down for 4, then activate his main effect as soon as you play him, resting him, and reduce something by 4. And then you could follow it up with a Brook swing that you played last turn, reduce a 5-cost character down to 0, and then kill that 5-cost character with the Brook effect. So these two do work in conjunction with each other, and obviously, this is a beautiful Alt-Art. Just almost my favorite. I think the Chopper one is more of my favorite, the pastel. Just beautiful Alt-Arts. Then the last character card we're going to look at is T-Bone. This is the Alt-Art form. 5-drop 5k slasher attribute 2k counter. On play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. So this is a really good card. It's searchable with the Navy type, so you have a replacement for what's his name? Virgo, the other 5-cost 5k 2k counter. So there's 2 events in black. We're going to look at both of them. The first one is I Want to Live, a 3-cost counter event. If you have 30 or more cards in your trash, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. This is a really good effect. If you have 29 cards in trash, you play this for 3. This will become the 30th card, and then you can still regen the life, so that is something to note. And this is really good for if they're swinging at you for game. They put all their Dawn on their leader. They swing big. You check your trash. You count 31 cards. You're like, all right, I saved 3 for this. Pay 3. Regen a life. Then take the hit. You get the card to hand. So you essentially get a card draw on your opponent's turn. You're alive for the next turn. You could win the game next. So here we have Finger Pistol, a 4-cost main effect. You trash 2 cards from the top of your deck, then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Its trigger is activate this card's main effect. So they very easily could have made this trash 2 cards from your hand, but instead it's trash the top 2 cards of your deck. So you don't lose hand advantage here, and then you also get to KO a 5-cost character, which just playing black in general, that's killing anything. It doesn't matter as long as the effect on the card can't be KO'd or something like that. So lastly, these are the yellow cards. We're not going to look at the Kyros leader. First up is Viola. This is the Alt-Art. 2-drop 0k special attribute 1k counter. Has a blocker as the base effect, and then on play, choose 1 effect. You either look at all of your opponent's life cards and place them back in their life area in any order. So you get to choose what way that it goes. So if they have some really good triggers, you can try to get those off early to where they don't use them. This is also a really good option to choose if they took time to specifically arrange their life in an order. You can then just go through and be like, well, I'm just going to undo all your effort that you just did. Or you can choose to turn all of your life cards face down, which could be good. It works well with the Kyros effect, where you could use the Kyros effect, flip over the life face up, play this out, flip that card back face down, and then use the Kyros effect next turn. Then we're going to look at Flampe, which this card is a definite add to all of the ST13 leaders. She is a 1-drop 1k special attribute, 2k counter power. On play, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand, then you draw 1 card. So on the turn you play her, that's 3 cards drawn, from the 1 for the turn, 1 for taking a life, and then 1 for the completion of the effect. So if you use this in a Luffy, black yellow Luffy, or a blue yellow Ace, you use either of their effects, put a card into the life, play this out, grab that card, more so Ace than Luffy. But you get that card to hand, you draw the card off of the effect, and it's just real good, a whole lot of card draw. Then we have Shirahoshi. She is a 2-drop 0k wisdom type attribute, 1k counter, has a, I guess another permanent effect. That's just what I'm going to call them. When this character is KO'd by your opponent's effects, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. And it has a blocker as the built-in ability. So it does specifically state KO'd by an opponent's effect, so you cannot block with it and then let it die. That does not fulfill the permanent effect. So it kind of gives your opponent incentive to not KO it. So then you don't get the regen. There's 2 events in yellow. We're going to look at both of them. The first one is Kingdom Come. It is a 6-drop event. It is main, KO up to one of your opponent's characters, so it doesn't matter about cost. You can kill a 10-cost character. Then trash cards from the top of your life until you have 1 life card. It is trashing them, so triggers do not activate off of those cards. So it's not really beneficial to play this until you only have 1 card left in life. But I mean, if you have 2 cards left in life, you know what that second card is, you don't really care about it. You play this out, trash that top card, and then kill a big body on their board. Its trigger effect is KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost equal to or less than the total of you and your opponent's life cards. So also a pretty good trigger. Then the last card is a 4-cost event, Did Someone Say Kami? Main, play up to 1 Enel with a cost of 7 or less from your hand or trash, then trash cards from the top of your life cards until you have 1 life. And then the trigger is draw 2, trash 1. This main effect could be, I don't want to say devastating, but it could be really deadly if you have 2 Enels in your trash that, you played them out or you trash them from some effect. You get to 8 Dawn, you have 1 life left, you pay 4, get a 7-cost Enel out. Pay the other 4, get a 7-cost Enel out. You don't trash any cards because you're at 1 card, and now you have 2 7k swings on the board. Your Enel leader effect is active. Enel's going to be even more crazy than he already is, and I'm not looking forward to it. So that is all of the cards in the extra booster. Most of the ones we looked at were SRs. There were a couple stuff that were like rares, but really there's, the commons aren't anything to, look at really. SRs are always going to be better, and then the events are, hit or miss sometimes. Like we didn't really look at one of the blue events or one of the red events. We didn't look at any of the green events. But this is still a good set. It does, the other cards aren't horrible. They're just, not long lasting, I would say. So that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep an eye out for more One Piece content, more Fusion World content, and maybe a little bit of Union Arena. And I'll see you then. Bye.